Welcome to the Aria. It's fascinating that over 90% of our viewers connect deeply with our videos, yet choose not to subscribe. Speech Balloon. If you've just joined us, welcome to a place where every story is a journey through hidden truths, unspoken emotions, and endings that leave you breathless. Backhand index pointing right. Still watching but haven't subscribed yet? Now's your moment. Hit that subscribe button, because what's coming next will pull you in deeper than you ever expected. Bell, and don't forget to tap the bell so you'll never miss the next chapter that just might change everything. Right arrow, one click, one emotional journey. Come with us. In a heartbeat, you can help us create even more remarkable content just for you. The air crackled with tension, wrapping around me like a second skin. The pounding of my heart resonated in my ears, a relentless reminder of the choice that awaited me. On a Sunday afternoon, warmth enveloped the air, brightness illuminated the scene, and an eerie stillness allowed the gentle buzz of bees to pierce through the lavender by the back fence. Once more I found myself in the garden, my sacred refuge, knees buried in earth and isolation. Gardening became my refuge after the heartbreak of my divorce 2 years ago. Silence surrounds me, free from judgment, as I connect with the earth and lose myself in the soothing pulse of rhythm. In that place, I discovered a profound sense of peace. On that sweltering day, I slipped into an old sundress, faded yellow cotton, thin straps, and a neckline that dared to reveal too much for tending to flower beds. I didn't anticipate any visitors, so I embraced the heat without a second thought. With my hair loosely twisted, bare feet sinking into the grass, and a trowel in hand, I struggled against a stubborn root when the gate creaked, shattering the stillness. I spun around, my heart racing as I stared at the figure stepping into view. It took a moment for his face to register in my mind. Caleb, the son of my friend Sandra. He had transformed from the lanky teenager I once knew. He had developed strong shoulders, a richer voice, and that effortless, assured walk. He was 22, perhaps 23. Young enough to remind me of my age, yet old enough to catch the weight of my gaze lingering too long. His grin pierced through the silence, igniting a spark of something unspoken between us. "Hey Lore, Mom asked me to come lend a hand with the garden wall." I squinted at him, my dirt-streaked hand shielding my eyes. "Did she really?" He nodded toward the side of the house. "You mentioned tearing out those old bricks to build something fresh. I thought you could use some help." I paused, uncertainty gripping me. I hadn't explicitly asked Sandra for help, but I had dropped a hint last week at brunch, perhaps just in passing. I never anticipated she'd send her son over as if it were a gift. Yet solitude enveloped me. I truly needed help. Caleb had a captivating presence. "Fine," I replied, smoothing my dress, "but don't say I didn't give you a heads up. The wall has stood long before your first breath. It refuses to budge." "So am I," he replied, a crooked smile playing on his lips. In an instant, he shed his hoodie and plunged into the task at hand. For the next hour, we toiled together under the relentless sun. I excavated as he tugged. He probed as I piled up. Felt instinctive. Occasionally, I'd feel his gaze on me, not with disrespect, but with a hint of intrigue, watching as if he sought to unravel my secrets. "You always do this alone?" he asked, his voice heavy as he wiped the sweat from his forehead with the back of his arm. "It gives me purpose," I murmured, resting on my spade. "I find solace in the stillness. Silence wraps around you, a cocoon for your mind." His gaze lingered on me, heavy with unspoken words. "I understand, but it feels so isolating." A silence lingered, heavy with unspoken words, suspended between them, yearning to be recognized. Without a word, I knelt to collect a handful of bricks, yet I felt his presence now in a way that took me by surprise. The intimacy, the warmth, the way he moved with such assurance, yet remained humble. He was kind and attentive, making me feel seen and valued, regardless of our age difference. I felt truly seen. As the wall crumbled, we paused, breathless and uncertain. I poured lemonade and we perched on the deck's edge, our legs hanging over the grass below. His knee grazed mine, a fleeting touch that lingered, warm and unwavering. "Your garden's beautiful," he said, his gaze sweeping over the beds where I'd invested my soul. A secret spot, shrouded in mystery, untouched by the world. "At times, that's precisely how I wish it to be," I murmured. His gaze pierced through me, deep and searching. "What's the reason behind that?" I paused once more, torn between evasion and honesty. After enduring heartbreak and disappointment, the desire to be seen fades away. You construct barriers, cultivate beauty, and shroud your pain in tendrils. He nodded, a flicker of contemplation crossing his face. "You can stop hiding, you know." His voice drew my gaze back to him, an undeniable force. He was dead serious. He was dead serious. His sincerity took me by surprise more than anything else could. "Caleb," I said, a half-laugh escaping my lips, "you're still so young." "So you're 22 now?" He mentioned he turned 23 just last month. "I'm 47 now." I pressed on, placing my glass aside. "Too old to be anything but your mother." He offered a subtle smirk, soft yet captivating. "You will never be my mother. Age should never strip away the right to be understood." That sentence struck me hard, pressing down on my heart. In that fleeting instant, words escaped me. My life had been consumed by responsibilities. My son, my job, the weight of being a good wife, and then the struggle of being a good ex-wife. I had hidden my desires beneath the weight of practicality. Here stood this young man, confronting a part of me long buried and forgotten. "I never saw this coming," I whispered, my voice trembling. His fingers brushed against mine, a hesitant connection that sent a shiver through me. "I didn't either." The moment lingered, soft yet shocking, charged with intensity. I stayed still. He didn't either. We sat in silence, the garden alive with sound, the vast sky looming above, as an unspoken connection surged between us. It was never about desire. Not just yet. It ran far beneath the surface. Validation. Intrigue. Grant me the right. I rose first, driven by a heart that raced with unspoken truths. "We need to complete this wall," I urged. He stood, shaking off the dust from his jeans. "Of course, I'd love to return tomorrow, if that's all right with you." I gazed at him, a tumult of emotions churning within me. I wouldn't care at all. As he stepped through the garden gate, I found myself captivated by his stride, easy, unhurried. Yet there was a subtle change within him, a shift that echoed in the air. I faced my flower beds again, yet my hands remained still. I stood frozen, eyes locked on the wall, my fingers alive with the memory of his touch. In the heart of my garden, something stirred, quietly and without warning. And I felt it in my core, an undeniable truth. Everything had changed forever. As dawn broke, I found myself awake long before the world stirred. A subtle ache lingered in my body from yesterday's toil, a reminder of effort well spent. Yet, an unfamiliar energy pulsed just below the surface, a sensation I hadn't experienced in years. Hope hangs in the air, electric and alive. I stood before the bathroom mirror, brushing my hair, struck by how long it had become. A few strands of gray emerged at the temples, delicate yet revealing a profound truth. I thought about hiding them. Then they didn't. I never aimed to be someone I wasn't. If Caleb returned, he would confront the true essence of who I am. Not merely the one who nurtured roses and donned faded sundresses, but the woman who had endured pain, reconstructed her life, and still held space for wonder. By 10, the sun had risen high, and I found myself once again in the garden. I slipped into a soft cotton dress, navy adorned with delicate white flowers. It hugged my waist perfectly, the neckline dipping just enough to make me fidget with it. Not for the faint of heart, only nerves. Doubt not at me, would he actually come? Then the gate creaked once more, a sound that sent chills down my spine. He stepped inside, clad in a white t-shirt and dark jeans, a small toolbox gripped tightly in one hand, a brown paper bag dangling from the other. "Morning," he said, his smile effortlessly warm. "Lunch is here." We decided to push on without a break. "There you stand, ready," I remarked, a smile breaking through my defenses. He set the bag down and said, "I learned from my mom. Perhaps I simply enjoy nourishing those I long to be with." The words fell from my lips, light yet heavy, hanging in the charged silence between us. He held back. He approached the spot where we had stopped, and I trailed behind, ready to dive back into the moment we had shared. The work continued, fingers grazing occasionally, eyes locking in silent conversations that held more weight than our words ever could. The tension hung in the air, silent yet palpable, a force that demanded attention. At noon we paused again, seeking refuge beneath the maple tree in the yard's shadowy corner. The paper bag held a treasure: sandwiches, fruit, 2 sodas, and a chocolate bar, each item whispering promises of comfort and joy. "You recalled my love for dark chocolate?" I inquired, taken aback. "Text, you spoke of it once," he said, passing it to me, and I absorbed every word. Once more that response took me by surprise, not for its charm, though it had that, but for its raw truth. His attention pierced through the shadows of my existence, a rare light in a world where I had long been invisible. It meant more than I dared to confess. We sat on the grass, silence enveloping us as we ate, each bite heavy with unspoken thoughts. Then he asked something that made me pause, sandwich forgotten. "May I ask you something a bit personal?" I nodded, a weight settling in my chest. "Absolutely. What led to the end of your relationship with your ex?" I stared at him, torn between the urge to stay on the surface and the longing to unlock a door I had long kept closed. Yet his tone held a quiet intensity. It was real. "We stopped meeting," I admitted at last. "Not in a physical sense, I mean, deeply felt." As time passed, the routine became our second skin, the roles that define us. Then one day it struck me. I couldn't recall the last moment I truly felt desired, essential, in search of. Caleb's head dipped in agreement. "It resonates deeply, even though I've never walked down that aisle." I shot him a questioning glance. "You faced something like that before." He spoke of a girlfriend from years past. "It concluded last winter. She was extraordinary. I constantly felt the weight of needing to show I deserved her attention, as if I were under scrutiny." "It's utterly draining," I exclaimed. His smile was gentle, yet it held a depth of feeling. "It is indeed. Yet being here with you feels entirely different." I gasped slightly. "Caleb." He reclined on his elbows, eyes fixed on the clouds, lost in thought for a fleeting moment before pressing on. "I'm not trying to rush you, Elena. This is undeniably complex. Being around you stirs something deep within me, uniquely wonderful." Silence enveloped me for what felt like an eternity. I was unprepared for such raw honesty, not from anyone his age, not from anyone in a long time, truly. From the instant he stepped through that gate yesterday, I felt a stirring within me, an undeniable shift that I couldn't ignore. After lunch, a heavy silence settled between us as we returned to our tasks. By late afternoon, the wall lay in ruins, and we started to envision the new one taking shape. He crouched next to me, furiously scribbling on a notepad, and I felt a jolt as his arm brushed against mine. This time I stood my ground. "I could come again this weekend," he said, his tone light, but the weight of the words hung in the air. "Should you seek assistance?" "I would love that," I replied. I truly meant it. The sky softened with the early evening light, and as we gathered our tools, he lingered by the back steps. "Hey," he said, his gaze piercing into mine. "You can take your time, but how about sharing a dinner together soon? Only we remain." Without gardening gloves, my heart raced, a mix of exhilaration and fear. "That could definitely turn some heads," I said, a chuckle escaping my lips. "Let them rise," he said, his voice steady yet charged with emotion. "I don't care to hear anyone else's version of our tale, only ours." Once more, he perceived the world with that serene clarity. He saw me. I moved in, my fingers grazing his forearm, igniting a spark between us. "I need a moment to consider." "I'll wait," he promised, his voice steady yet heavy with unspoken longing. He held back. He stood still, paralyzed by the moment. He smiled, calm and unwavering, then turned and walked back through the gate. As I stepped inside, I left the TV off and my phone untouched. I stood in the kitchen, gazing at the dimming light over the garden, my heart brimming with emotions long buried. Surprise coursed through me, intrigue sparked, nerves tingled, and I felt vibrantly alive. That night, in the stillness of my bed, his words echoed relentlessly in my mind. "I don't care for anyone else's version of our tale, only ours." For the first time in ages, a flicker of hope ignited within me. Could it be that a new story was still waiting to unfold? The days that followed crackled with a strange energy, silent yet undeniable, reminiscent of the tension before a summer storm. Every moment crackled with intensity. I filled my days with tasks, pruning roses, rearranging kitchen drawers that were fine as they were, even repainting the guest bathroom. Anything to occupy the relentless passage of time. No matter my efforts, Caleb lingered in my thoughts. It was more than his presence, his eyes, or the effortless grace with which he navigated the garden. He listened intently, his gaze making me feel significant. He embraced the silence, unafraid to speak the truth when words were needed. By Saturday morning, I found myself questioning whether our conversation had been a figment of my imagination, rather than a reflection of his true intentions. Perhaps I was overanalyzing it. Perhaps he was simply being kind, thoughtful, a true rarity in today's world. Perhaps it was simply loneliness that consumed me. As I tended to the flower beds, the sudden creak of the gate swinging open sent a chill down my spine. This time I kept my gaze fixed downward. I smiled quietly, whispering to myself, "You're late." "I brought coffee," he said, his voice low and close behind me. "Please forgive me." I spun around and there he stood, the t-shirt pressed tightly against his chest, sunglasses nestled in his hair, gripping 2 paper cups tightly. He seemed right at home, as if he had always been a part of that place. I snatched the coffee from his grasp. "Do you always come with bribes?" He smiled, but only at the women who make me feel small. It brought a smile to my face. "You appear unfazed by fear. You might not expect it." We toiled through the morning in silence, and it strangely lightened the burden. Soft music floated from the Bluetooth speaker on the deck, a slow bluesy tune that wrapped around me like a warm embrace. The wall emerged once more, transformed, stronger than ever, unyielding. At noon we stopped, thirst gnawing at us. He stood beside me at the spigot, wiping sweat from his brow. Turning to me, his voice dropped to a whisper. "Have you considered what to eat for dinner?" I stared at him, taken aback by his calm demeanor, not demanding, merely inquiring. I swallowed hard, a decision made, resolute and unyielding. I simply hadn't voiced it until now. I declared. I nodded, each movement heavy with unspoken weight. "Yes, but not in public." His eyes narrowed, a flicker of doubt igniting within them. "I long to cook," I pressed on, "right here in my own space. Only we remain." His expression shifted, revealing a hint of vulnerability. "That feels just right." That evening, I lit candles, not for romance, though perhaps that flicker lingered in the air, but to wrap the dining room in a warm embrace. I prepared a dish that was both uncomplicated and refined: lemon garlic chicken, roasted potatoes, asparagus, and a bottle of wine, long awaited for a moment that never arrived. Up until this moment. When Caleb arrived, he seemed transformed, not merely by the dress shirt and slacks, but by a newfound confidence that radiated from him, more purposeful, less relaxed. As I swung the door open, his gaze locked onto mine, electrifying the air between us. "You look incredible," he whispered, his eyes filled with intensity. "You look so different without the dirt on your hands." "Don't get used to it," I said, a smirk playing on my lips. "But thank you." Dinner slipped by almost unnoticed. Laughter mingles with soft clinks of glasses, as conversation flows effortlessly, shifting from profound to playful and back, each moment alive with connection. He shared his college struggles, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. I shared with him the stillness that followed my divorce, how my garden became my refuge, healing me in ways that therapy never could. As we stepped into the living room, the wine bottle stood half empty, and the atmosphere crackled with unspoken tension. Light, yet unmistakably profound. Conscious, he sat near me, our thighs touching, a spark igniting in the silence. Silence hung heavy in the air before he finally broke it, his voice low and piercing. "Are you scared?" I faced him. "What do you mean?" "This, about me." I inhaled deeply. "Not from you, what it could signify. What others might whisper." Of allowing myself to truly experience this. His hand grazed mine, fingers intertwining softly, creating a tender connection. "No one deserves your justification." "I understand," I murmured, "yet I must be true to myself." "Then be truthful," he urged. I gazed at him, truly gazed at him. His face was a canvas of youth, yet it held a depth of emotion that surpassed men twice his age. For so long, I had buried my needs and desires, and now voicing them felt utterly alien. "Caleb, I have feelings for you that I can't quite express." His fingers gripped mine with a subtle intensity, then surrender to it. Silence enveloped the room once more, but now it carried a weight of certainty. It brimmed with potential. He leaned in, each inch a silent invitation, a moment hanging heavy with unspoken words. I simply didn't. Our lips touched softly, and for that fleeting moment nothing else mattered. Only the sweetness, the undeniable connection. Time stood still. No despair. A silent yearning at last allowed to flourish. As we said our goodbyes, I hesitated to open my eyes. I lingered there, my forehead pressed against his. "I'm not seeking something fleeting," I whispered. "I'm not either," he replied, his voice heavy with unspoken truths. We lingered in silence, time stretching between us. Whispers exchanged, hearts laid bare. Soft lips meet, a spark ignites, and time stands still. Once more the words spill forth. Everything unfolds in its own time. No boundaries breached that ought to remain intact. A woman and a man worlds apart, discovering an unforeseen connection in each other's presence. As he walked away that night, he paused at the door and kissed me once more. "Sleep well, Elena." "Sleep well, Caleb." As I shut the door on him, I pressed my back against it and smiled, a genuine smile free from guilt for the first time in ages. This was undeniable, it was real. And this was merely the start. The next week enveloped me in an unusual quiet joy, a soothing pulse that nestled in my chest, lingering even on the days I didn't see Caleb. Each morning as I tied my hair up, a wave of longing washed over me. In the afternoons, while tending to the garden, the ache deepened. And in the evenings, discovering a simple message from him ignited a flicker of hope amidst the shadows. "I can't stop thinking about you. I long to be there," or sometimes simply, "Hi." It didn't have to be beautiful. Its simplicity struck a deep chord, making it resonate with undeniable truth. No one knew, not a soul. It can't be Sandra. He is not my son, not even Beth, my closest friend. Some things require a moment to linger before they can be expressed. It wasn't hidden, I sensed. It was a shield. What we shared was delicate, like a tender blossom just beginning to unfold. Stunning, yet not ready to face the storm. Caleb returned that fateful Friday afternoon. This time, nothing but bare hands. Without garden gloves. Only him. "What about me?" "Text," I hesitated, then took his hand, drawn in by the warmth of his smile. The world around us faded as we stepped into the unknown together. I returned the smile. "It's been ages since I last walked for the sheer joy of it." "That's precisely why you must," he insisted. We wandered only a short distance, down the serene neighborhood street, past vibrant blooming myrtles and white picket fences, our arms grazing against each other occasionally. In that moment he grasped my hand tightly, and we moved forward together. Without a second thought. Unapologetic, only connection. I've never encountered someone like you, he exclaimed, his voice trembling with intensity. You awaken thoughts within me that I never knew I craved. You bring time to a standstill. My gaze met his, the heat of his hand enveloping mine. You awaken in me the permission to feel once more. It's still possible. The words spilled out, unfiltered and raw. Yet I chose not to reclaim them. I never wanted to. Caleb revealed a truth I had lost touch with, the chance for joy, the depth of emotional connection, the courage to be fully visible, without the dread of being cast aside. That night we let fate decide. He remained there, unwavering. Wrapped in a blanket, we sat on the back deck, gazing up at the stars, lost in the moment. I brewed tea. He grasped my hand once more, pressing it to his chest as if he craved its unwavering presence. His touch was gentle, unhurried, and filled with a profound sense of presence, as if nothing else mattered more than being close to me in that fleeting moment. And that changed everything, I confessed as we gazed at the sky, uncertainty swirling within me. His eyes met mine for a fleeting moment. Neither do I, yet I understand the weight of that feeling. A smile broke across my face. What does it feel like? He pressed his head gently against mine. It feels like home, a truth only I can understand. Once more, that silent determination lingered within him. Nothing but calm, no more games, only truth. In that moment, his lips found mine once more. Take it slow this time, more profound. Yet it remains delicate, forever cloaked in reverence. As we nestled together on the couch, the lights faded, and the gentle chorus of crickets filled the air. I leaned against him, my heart racing, and whispered, "Do you believe this could truly happen? Us together?" His fingers intertwined softly with mine, igniting a spark of connection that sent shivers down my spine. When something hits this close to home, you can't just turn your back on it. You find a way. For the first time, I truly believed it. It wasn't fantasy that captivated me. It was Caleb's unexpected revelation. In a garden on an ordinary Sunday, I discovered that trust, openness, and kindness could forge a connection when least anticipated, catching me off guard in the most profound way. We never promised anything. That night, we let the unknown linger between us. Yet, we understood the depth of what we possessed. And that was all it took. A few weeks later, Sandra caught a hint of something in my voice when I spoke of Caleb's help once more. "He's been around a lot lately," she said, her fury palpable, yet her trust unshaken. "He's easy to talk to," I said, and let the silence linger. Some aspects of my life had reached a point where they required no further explanation or justification. They simply needed to be experienced. As summer deepened, so did our bond. I started to feel the warmth of my smile, the lift in my posture, the excitement for each new morning. One evening, as we stood in the garden by the wall we had rebuilt together, Caleb turned to me and said, "You know, this wall might be the most meaningful thing I've ever helped create." I faced him, a smile breaking across my lips. "It's more than just the wall," he nodded, a silent agreement hanging heavy in the air. "I understand." As I stood there, bathed in the golden light of dusk, a profound truth washed over me. I was no longer the woman I had been just weeks before. I had allowed a spark to enter, something pure, something real. Transformed me completely. If you can hear me, no matter who you are or where you are, listen closely. I never imagined this could be my reality. Learn from my failures. Don't hesitate to reveal your true self. Do not cower in the shadows of time, or let the judgment of others silence you. In moments of despair, when hope seems lost, love unexpectedly blooms, reminding you that even the barren can flourish once more. It catches you off guard.